Hey there, have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you're losing grip on reality, wondering, did I really say that? Or am I just overthinking? You're not alone. Today, we're unraveling 5 surprising ways gaslighters manipulate your mind and expose the dark psychology behind their tactics. Gaslighting is more than just a buzzword. It's one of the most subtle yet destructive forms of manipulation out there, and it thrives on confusion. Whether it's a friend twisting your words, a partner making you doubt your emotions, or a co-worker undermining your confidence, gaslighting has a way of turning your own mind into unfamiliar territory. But here's the thing, no one deserves to live in that fog of self-doubt. Breaking free from a gaslighter's grip doesn't require a psychology degree or years of therapy. It starts with understanding their tactics and recognizing the subtle ways they try to take control of your thoughts. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to spot their manipulation and protect your mental clarity, inspired by timeless Stoic wisdom. Before we begin, please subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on more ways to improve your emotional control. So, if you're ready to reclaim your power and see through the games, let's get started. Rewriting the narrative, the subtle art of making you forget. Think of a book you've read cover to cover, a story you know by heart. Now imagine someone sneaks in, tears out pages, rearranges chapters, and scribbles over crucial scenes. By the time you pick it up again, it's almost unrecognizable. But the thief swears it's always been this way. This is how a gaslighter rewrites your narrative, not with a pen but with persistent, calculated manipulation of your memory and reality. When gaslighters rewrite the past, it's not always loud or obvious. They don't scream, "You're wrong," instead. They plant subtle seeds of doubt. A conversation you are sure unfolded one way is reframed entirely. "That's not what I said," or worse, "You're remembering it all wrong." At first, these comments might seem trivial. After all, no one remembers everything perfectly, right? But over time, the constant denial of your reality erodes your confidence in your own memory. You find yourself questioning what you saw, heard, or even felt. The gaslighter's ultimate goal: to become the gatekeeper of your reality. This tactic works so effectively because memory is inherently fragile. Psychologists call it memory distortion, the brain's tendency to fill in gaps with suggestions or external influences. A gaslighter preys on this natural vulnerability, weaving their version of events so convincingly that you begin to doubt your own. It's as if they've hacked into your internal compass, leaving you spinning in circles and dependent on them to guide you. Think about the emotional toll this takes. Each rewritten story chips away at your trust in yourself. You might start replaying conversations in your mind obsessively, questioning whether you misunderstood or overreacted. Maybe you even start apologizing for things you didn't do just to keep the peace. This is how gaslighting quietly dismantles your sense of self, brick by brick. So how do you fight back? It begins with anchoring yourself to the truth. Keep a journal, not just for events, but for feelings. Write down conversations, decisions, and key moments as they happen. Over time, this record becomes your lighthouse in the fog of manipulation. When doubts creep in, you'll have concrete evidence to ground yourself. But anchoring yourself isn't just about keeping records. It's also about reconnecting with your instincts. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, taught that clarity comes from within. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Apply this wisdom. Trust the clarity that resides in your gut and intuition. If something feels off, it probably is." It also helps to surround yourself with people who validate your reality. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, where your feelings and perceptions are acknowledged, not erased. The more you reinforce this foundation of support, the less likely a gaslighter can succeed in pulling the rug out from under you. Rewriting the narrative is one of the most insidious tools in a gaslighter's arsenal, but it's not undefeatable. The key is awareness and action, catching the subtle manipulations early and holding on to your inner truth like a fortress. Because no one, no matter how skilled, has the right to rewrite your story. Weaponizing empathy, turning your compassion against you. Empathy is one of humanity's greatest strengths, a bridge that connects us, allowing us to understand and support each other. But in the hands of a gaslighter, your empathy becomes a weapon aimed squarely at your sense of peace. They twist your kindness, your willingness to see the best in people, into a trap. Suddenly, your compassion feels like a leash, keeping you tethered to someone who manipulates your emotions for their gain. Gaslighters are skilled at spotting compassionate people. They know you'll second-guess your frustration, that you'll pause before confronting them because you want to understand where they're coming from. So they create scenarios that exploit this tendency. They cry crocodile tears, playing the victim when you start to push back. They might even say something like, "You're so sensitive. I thought you'd understand me better." This subtle jab turns the spotlight away from their harmful actions and back onto your supposed shortcomings. Here is where it gets dangerous. Your empathy makes you justify their behavior. Maybe they're acting this way because they're stressed, or they didn't mean to hurt me. They're just going through a lot. While understanding someone's struggles is a beautiful trait, gaslighters use it to excuse their actions entirely. You end up carrying their emotional baggage while they move through life unburdened, manipulating you into thinking it's your responsibility to fix things. To understand this tactic, imagine you're holding a bucket of water for someone. It's not heavy at first, and you don't mind helping. But what happens when they keep adding more water, bucket after bucket, while insisting you're strong enough to handle this? Soon your arms ache, and yet you keep holding on because they've convinced you it's your job to do so. Gaslighters use your empathy to pile on emotional weight, leaving you drained while they walk away guilt-free. What's worse, they often frame their manipulation as a test of your compassion. They'll say things like, "If you really cared, you'd understand," or they might weaponize your values against you, saying, "I thought you believed in forgiveness." It's a psychological sleight of hand. They deflect accountability by making you feel guilty for not being empathetic enough. In reality, true empathy is a two-way street. It's about mutual understanding and support, not one person giving endlessly while the other takes. So how do you break free from this emotional trap? Start by recognizing that empathy doesn't mean enabling. Marcus Aurelius, a cornerstone of Stoic wisdom, reminds us, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. But tolerance doesn't mean allowing someone to mistreat you. It means understanding their struggles without letting them cross your boundaries. A practical step is to practice what's called compassionate detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care in a way that protects your emotional health. For instance, if someone's behavior is hurtful, Acknowledge their struggles, but hold them accountable. You can say, "I understand you're going through a tough time, but that doesn't excuse how you treated me." This approach respects both your empathy and your boundaries. Another strategy is to observe patterns instead of isolated incidents. Gaslighters thrive on your ability to forgive momentary lapses, but patterns don't lie. Ask yourself, am I constantly excusing the same behavior? Reflect on whether your compassion is being returned or simply exploited. Finally, build a circle of trust outside the gaslighter's influence. Share your experiences with people who value you for who you are, not what you give. These trusted allies can help you see manipulation for what it is, reminding you that you deserve relationships where empathy flows both ways. Weaponized empathy is a cruel twist of something inherently good, but it doesn't have to define your relationships. Remember, genuine compassion is never a burden. It's a strength. By setting boundaries and staying anchored in your truth, you reclaim your empathy as a force for connection, not control. That's not just self-preservation, it's wisdom, the confidence thief, undermining your belief in yourself. Confidence is the foundation of a resilient mind. It's what helps you stand firm in your decisions, trust your instincts, and move forward with purpose. Gaslighters know this. They know that if they can chip away at your confidence, they can gain control over you. This isn't just an attack on your self-esteem. It's an intricate, calculated theft of your belief in yourself. The way this tactic unfolds is chilling in its subtlety. It often starts small, with seemingly harmless comments. "Are you sure about that?" Or "You always get so emotional over little things." At first, you might shrug it off, but the repetition is deliberate. Over time, these remarks aren't just about individual moments. They become about you as a person. Suddenly, your decisions, your feelings, and even your identity are all under scrutiny. The real damage comes when their voice begins to replace your inner voice. You might find yourself second-guessing everything. Should you speak up in that meeting? Should you trust your instincts in an argument? Should you even try something new? The confidence thief has done its job when you're no longer sure of yourself without their validation, or worse, their permission. Why does this tactic work so well? Because confidence isn't just a feeling. It's a muscle that grows stronger with use. Every time you trust yourself and succeed, you reinforce your ability to handle life's challenges. Gaslighters know this, so they work to starve that muscle, leaving you dependent on them to feel capable. It's a slow erosion, but the impact is profound. Think about how this plays out in everyday life. Maybe you're excited about a new project at work, but the gaslighter dismisses your ideas with a smirk and a comment like, "That's a little ambitious. Nouns, don't you think?" Or maybe you're thrilled about a personal achievement, but they manage to downplay it, saying, "Well, anyone could have done that." These remarks might seem insignificant, but over time, they accumulate like drops of water carving into stone. The ancient Stoics believed that confidence stems from knowing your worth, independent of others' opinions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." A gaslighter thrives on making you doubt your estimates, your judgments, your strengths, your worth. So how do you reclaim your confidence from their grasp? The first step is awareness. Start noticing the patterns. Pay attention to how often they question your abilities or diminish your achievements. Once you see it, you can stop internalizing it. Remember, their words reflect their insecurities, not your reality. Next, rebuild your confidence with intentional action. Start small. Make decisions without seeking their input, even on minor things, and celebrate those choices. Confidence grows when you prove to yourself that you can trust your instincts. It's also crucial to reaffirm your strengths. Create a list of your accomplishments, skills, and qualities that make you proud. Read it often, especially when their words start to creep into your mind. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, those who see your worth without trying to diminish it. Finally, set firm boundaries. If the gaslighter tries to undermine you, call it out. Say, "I've thought this through, and I trust my decision." You don't owe them a further explanation. Confidence isn't about convincing others. It's about trusting yourself. The confidence thief is one of the gaslighter's most potent weapons. But like all theft, it only succeeds if you let them take what's yours. By recognizing their tactics and standing firm in your truth, you can rebuild and protect your belief in yourself. And when you do, their power over you crumbles. Confidence isn't just a gift, it's your shield. Wear it boldly, creating chaos, confusion as a control mechanism. Confusion isn't just a byproduct of manipulation, it's often the entire strategy. Gaslighters thrive in chaos because confusion keeps you vulnerable, reactive, and ultimately dependent on their narrative. The more uncertain you feel, the easier it becomes for them to step in as the supposed voice of reason, guiding you toward decisions that serve their agenda. This tactic isn't about random disorder, it's intentional. Gaslighters manipulate through contradiction, half-truths, and selective memory. One day, they praise your judgment, only to criticize it harshly the next. They'll twist conversations, claiming you said things you didn't, or deny things they clearly said. Over time, this inconsistency wears you down, making you doubt your perception of reality. The chaos isn't just external, it takes root in your mind, making you second-guess your thoughts, memories, and even your identity. Assume you're trying to navigate a maze where the walls constantly shift. That's what it feels like when a gaslighter employs confusion as a weapon. For example, they might suddenly change their stance on a major issue, leaving you questioning whether you misunderstood them. Or they might say something hurtful, then claim, "I never said that. Why are you making things up?" The goal is to destabilize you, to keep you guessing so they can maintain the upper hand. This tactic works because humans crave clarity. We're wired to seek pattern and make sense of the world. When someone deliberately disrupts that clarity, it creates cognitive dissonance, a psychological tension between what you know to be true and what they insist is real. The longer this tension persists, the more likely you are to surrender your version of reality in favor of theirs, just to find peace. The Stoics believed clarity of mind was essential to living well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." This wisdom teaches us that true truth and stability are protective forces, shielding us from manipulation. Gaslighters aim to strip you of that truth, leaving you adrift in their manufactured chaos. Breaking free from this control mechanism starts with grounding yourself. Keep a written record of important conversations or events. Document what was said and done so You have a tangible reference when the gaslighter tries to distort reality. These records can act as anchors, keeping you connected to the truth, even when the gaslighter attempts to uproot it. Next, trust your intuition. Chaos creates self-doubt, but your gut instincts are often your clearest guide. If something feels off, don't dismiss it. Pause and reflect before letting the gaslighter's narrative replace your own. Reclaiming your mental clarity also means creating spaces of calm outside the chaos. Spend time with people who value honesty and consistency. Their stability can counterbalance the turbulence the gaslighter creates. Practices like mindfulness and meditation can also help you regain focus, allowing you to see through the noise and recognize manipulation for what it is. It's also best if you try not to engage in their games. Gaslighters often escalate confusion when you challenge them, introducing new distractions or shifting the argument entirely. Instead of getting caught up in their web, step back and say, "This conversation isn't productive right now. Let's revisit it later." This deflates their power and gives you time to recenter yourself. Confusion as a control mechanism is one of the most disorienting forms of manipulation, but it loses its grip when you prioritize clarity and truth. Chaos may surround you, but your mind doesn't have to mirror it. By anchoring yourself in reality and refusing to play into their strategies, you reclaim your power and find peace amidst the storm. The illusion of choice, making you think it's all your fault. Gaslighting often operates in a shadowy gray area where the manipulator twists reality just enough to make you question your judgment without realizing their hand in it. One of their most cunning tactics is the illusion of choice, subtly framing situations so that no matter the outcome, you're left feeling responsible for everything that goes wrong. It's not just manipulation, it's psychological warfare designed to erode your self-trust. This technique starts with the gaslighter presenting you with options, but none of them are truly in your favor. They might say you can choose to go ahead with your idea, but don't come crying to me when it fails, or sure, take that job if you're okay with letting everyone else down. At first glance, it appears you have a say, but the framing ensures that any choice you make is accompanied by guilt, doubt, or consequences designed to make you regret your decision. Over time, this tactic conditions you to internalize blame. If you stand firm and things go wrong, you think, maybe they were right. I shouldn't have done that. If you follow their suggestion and it backfires, the narrative becomes, why didn't I trust myself? Either way, you're trapped in a cycle of self-recrimination, which leaves you vulnerable and reliant on the gaslighter to guide you next time. This tactic is particularly effective because it preys on your natural desire to take responsibility for your actions. Ownership of one's choices is a sign of emotional maturity, but the gaslighter weaponizes this virtue against you. They blur the line between accountability and blame, making you carry burdens that aren't yours to bear. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful antidote to this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The illusion of choice is designed to distract you from this truth, making you believe external forces dictate your self-worth. But the reality is that while you can't control how others manipulate situations, you can control how you interpret and respond to them. To dismantle this illusion, start by reframing how you view choice. Not every decision is yours to own fully. Sometimes the circumstances or the people influencing you bear just as much responsibility. Ask yourself, did I make this decision based on my values and understanding, or was I pressured into it? This simple reflection can help separate genuine accountability from unfair blame. It's also essential to identify the patterns in how the gaslighter frames situations. Do they always set you up to fail or feel guilty? Once you recognize these patterns, you can anticipate their tactics and choose not to engage. For instance, when they say, "Go ahead, but don't blame me later," respond with clarity. "If I make this choice, I'll own the consequences." But not because you predicted failure. This shifts the power dynamic, asserting your agency without accepting their blame. It's also equally important to build a support system outside the gaslighter's sphere of influence. Trusted friends, mentors, or even a journal can help you process decisions objectively, free from the manipulator's skewed perspective. These external viewpoints can reaffirm your ability to make sound choices, even when the gaslighter tries to undermine them. The illusion of choice is a masterstroke of gaslighting because it turns your own sense of responsibility into a weapon against you. But by recognizing the tactic and reasserting control over your narrative, you can dismantle its power. True choice isn't about pleasing others or avoiding blame. It's about aligning with your values and trusting yourself. That's the kind of freedom gaslighters fear most. And it's a freedom worth fighting for. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the surprising ways gaslighters manipulate your mind. We hope that these insights have empowered you to recognize these tactics, protect your sense of self, and regain clarity where manipulation has created doubt. Remember, understanding the game is the first step to stepping out of it. By staying grounded, trusting your intuition, and cultivating self-awareness, you'll not only shield yourself from manipulation, but also strengthen your emotional resilience. Each time you reclaim your narrative, you take a step closer to a life of authenticity, balance, and inner peace. It's about learning to see through the fog of manipulation and stepping confidently into the light of your own truth. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more empowering content designed to help you navigate life's challenges with wisdom and clarity. Stay aware, stay strong, and we'll see you in the next video. There's a hidden battle happening around us every single day. It's not loud, it doesn't announce itself, and worst of all, it often comes from the people we trust the most. Friends, family, people we love. It starts small, an offhand comment that lingers in your mind a little too long, a conversation that leaves you feeling uneasy, a relationship that slowly, subtly drains you of your peace. Before you even realize it, your confidence slips, your thoughts start shifting, and your emotions begin reacting to forces you can't even see. And that's the scary part. Most people don't see it until it's too late. This is why the Stoics believe that true wisdom begins with awareness, with seeing things as they really are, not just how they appear on the surface. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." That means the people around you, the conversations you allow, the energies you entertain, they shape you in ways you don't even realize. And if you're not careful, if you don't train yourself to recognize when something is pulling you off track, you won't notice until you've already become someone you never intended to be. But here's the good news. Once you start recognizing these influences, you take back your power. You regain control over your thoughts, your emotions, and most importantly, your peace. That's exactly what we're diving into today. How to recognize the subtle, hidden forces that might be working against you, even when they come in the form of a friend, a family member, or someone you trust. And trust me, once you learn to see it, you can never unsee it. So stick with me here, because every single part of this video connects, and missing even one piece could mean missing the exact insight you need right now. Let's get into it. Some of the biggest forces shaping your life aren't the ones you see. They're the ones working in the background, subtle, quiet, almost invisible. It's the words people repeat around you, the energy they bring into your space, the attitudes they carry. Influence doesn't always announce itself. It slips in slowly until one day you wake up feeling different, thinking differently, and you're not even sure why. The Stoics knew that the world is full of distractions, opinions, and external forces trying to pull you in every direction. That's why they focused so much on guarding the mind. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to be careful of what he absorbed, to filter out anything that didn't align with reason and virtue. He understood that we become what we allow to shape us. If you're surrounded by negativity, doubt, and fear, you start to internalize it. If you spend enough time with people who see limits instead of possibilities, you start seeing them too. Most people don't realize this is happening. They think their thoughts are entirely their own, but they're not. Every conversation, every repeated phrase, every interaction leaves a mark. A friend who constantly complains, you start feeling heavier, even if you weren't upset before. A family member who always highlights the worst-case scenario, you start second-guessing your decisions. A colleague who subtly undermines you, their words sit in the back of your mind, making you doubt your abilities, even when there's no real reason to. Epictetus taught that we must be ruthless in protecting our inner world. He said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. The same goes for influence. If you're not careful, you let the wrong voices dictate your mindset, your confidence, even your sense of purpose. And the danger isn't just in obvious negativity. Sometimes influence comes in the form of passive discouragement. People who don't directly attack your dreams, but who never fully support them either. The ones who say, that's great, but, or I just don't want to see you get hurt. They sound caring, but what they're really doing is planting doubt. True awareness means paying attention. It means stepping back and asking yourself, where did this thought come from? Is this belief mine, or did I inherit it from someone else? Because once you see where your influences are coming from, you get to decide what stays and what goes. And that's where real strength begins. So, how do you know when that's happening? It's not always obvious. If it were, you'd shut it down immediately. But these influences tend to be slow, sneaky, and gradual. It starts with small things, offhand comments, repeated criticisms disguised as concern, a constant undercurrent of negativity that makes it feel like the world is always against you. Think about your relationships. Do you have people in your life who always highlight problems, but never solutions, who make everything feel heavier, as if life is just one endless struggle? Seneca warned against this kind of influence, saying that we should be careful not to sink under the weight of others' burdens. There's a difference between supporting someone and being dragged into their storm. Some people aren't looking for a way out of their negativity. They just want company in their misery. Then there are the manipulators. They're not always obvious. They don't control you outright. Instead, they plant small doubts. They make you question your instincts, your decisions, your own judgment. You say something with confidence, and they respond with, "Are you sure about that?" Or, "I don't know, I heard that's really risky." Harmless at first. Right, but when you hear it enough, it starts to sink in. Slowly, you start deferring to them, doubting yourself, second-guessing things you once knew to be true. And let's talk about jealousy disguised as support. Ever share good news with someone only to be met with a forced smile and a half-hearted, "That's great, I guess," or maybe they instantly shift the conversation back to themselves, making your moment of joy feel like it never even happened? That's not just an oversight, it's a pattern. The Stoics believe that the company you keep should be one that sharpens you, strengthens you, and reinforces your values. If someone consistently downplays your successes or subtly discourages you from pursuing growth, that's an influence you need to evaluate. There's also the constant victim, the person who always has a problem, always blames others, and never takes responsibility. They feed on your sympathy, pulling you into their chaos, making you feel guilty if you don't get involved. But as EPICTETUS reminds us, you become what you give your attention to. If all your energy is spent absorbing someone else's drama, how much do you have left for your own purpose? And finally, pay attention to your body. Sometimes before your mind catches on, your body will tell you everything you need to know. Do you feel tense around certain people? Do you catch yourself sighing the moment you see their name pop up on your phone? Do you feel lighter, freer, more at peace when they're not around? That's not just stress. That's your body signaling you that something isn't right. The Stoics taught that wisdom isn't just about intellectual reasoning. It's about listening, observing, and responding wisely. Ever wonder why certain thoughts, emotions, or behaviors seem to stick with you? Even when you know they're not serving you, you try to shake them off, but they linger, shaping the way you see yourself, the way you react, the way you move through life. That's not by accident. That's influence at work. And the strongest influences aren't always the loudest. They're the ones that slip in unnoticed, settling in your mind and subtly shifting the course of your decisions before you even realize it. The Stoics were obsessed with this idea, understanding how external forces shape us, and more importantly, how to guard against them. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to filter the thoughts he allowed into his mind, knowing that the world around him would always try to impose its values, its fears, its distractions onto him. And let's be honest, most people don't even realize they're being influenced. They move through life on autopilot, absorbing whatever energy surrounds them, reacting instead of choosing, drifting instead of directing. A lot of these influences start early, the way your parents spoke to you, the kind of household you grew up in, the attitudes you were exposed to. Without even realizing it, you might be carrying beliefs that aren't yours, beliefs about success, about relationships, about what's possible for you. Maybe you grew up around constant scarcity, and now no matter how much you achieve, there's still a quiet fear in the back of your mind that it could all disappear. Maybe you were surrounded by criticism, and now, even in moments of confidence, you feel the need to prove yourself. And it doesn't stop in childhood. Every conversation you have, every social circle you're a part of, every piece of content you consume, it's all shaping you in some way. Some people knowingly or unknowingly push their limitations onto you. They don't do it with malice. They do it because it's all they know. They see risk where you see opportunity. They see obstacles where you see potential. And if you're not careful, you start seeing through their eyes instead of your own. Seneca had a simple but powerful rule. Be mindful of what you allow to shape you. He knew that you don't rise above the people you surround yourself with. You either grow with them, or you shrink to fit them. Some influences sharpen you, some weaken you, some make you more of yourself, some make you someone you never intended to be. And the real challenge, recognizing the difference before it's too late. That's why awareness is everything. The second you start questioning why you think the way you do, why you react a certain way, why you believe what you believe, you gain power. You start filtering out the noise, keeping what serves you and discarding what doesn't. And that's when real clarity begins. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every influence deserves your attention. The moment you realize this, life becomes a lot clearer. There will always be negativity, manipulation, and subtle attempts to steer you off course. But what the Stoics knew and what most people overlook is that your power isn't in controlling others, it's in controlling yourself. You decide what gets in, you decide what shapes you, and once you start filtering out the noise, you stop being so easily moved. Marcus Aurelius had a habit of reminding himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That applies to everything: conversations, conflicts, relationships. The question isn't, why is this person acting this way? It's, how do I choose to respond? Because influence only works if you allow it. Someone can try to plant doubt, but you don't have to water it. Someone can try to stir up anger, but you don't have to give it a home. So what do you do when you recognize an unhealthy influence? First, pause. Don't react emotionally. The moment you get pulled into their energy, you've already lost. Observe, listen, let them reveal themselves. Epictetus used to say that the first sign of wisdom is the ability to delay reaction. Because when you pause, you get clarity, you see patterns instead of isolated incidents. You recognize when someone is speaking from their own fears, not from truth, and that clarity is everything. Next, set boundaries. Not everything deserves a response. Not every person deserves full access to you. Seneca warned about spending too much time with those who drain your spirit, saying that the wise person is careful with their time, because it is the one resource they can never get back. That means learning to say no, not with anger, not with resentment, but with quiet confidence. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain yourself. Just step back and protect your peace. And finally, strengthen yourself. The more solid you are in your values, the less others can shake you. The more you invest in wisdom, the less you'll be misled. The Stoics didn't just focus on avoiding bad influences. They focused on becoming so strong internally that nothing external could control them. That's where real power is. It's not about avoiding every negative person. It's about being so anchored in who you are that nothing, not words, not opinions, not outside forces, can move you from your path. There's a moment in every interaction where you feel it, that split-second realization that something isn't right. Maybe it's the way someone downplays your excitement over something important to you. Maybe it's the subtle shift in their tone when you mention a new opportunity. Or maybe it's the way you always feel unsettled after spending time with them, like a weight you can't quite explain. That feeling, that's discernment knocking. The question is, are you paying attention? The Stoics taught that clarity isn't about seeing more, it's about seeing correctly. Marcus Aurelius constantly trained himself to look beyond the surface, reminding himself that people's words and actions often reveal more about them than anything else. So when someone speaks, listen not just to what they say, but to what's underneath. Does their encouragement feel genuine? Or is there hesitation? Are they happy for you? Or just tolerating your success? Some people won't criticize you outright, but they'll disguise their doubts as concern. Are you sure you can handle that? That seems like a lot of pressure. These comments seem harmless at first, but over time they chip away at your confidence. Then there are the ones who always steer conversations toward conflict. You start with a simple topic, but somehow they turn it into an argument or a debate, not because they're seeking truth, but because they thrive in chaos. Seneca warned about these types, saying that some people don't want peace. They want reaction. They want to pull you into their storm because they can't handle the stillness of your presence. Recognizing this is key. If every interaction with someone leaves you feeling drained, anxious, or defensive, that's not just their personality, that's a pattern. And what about the ones who seem to support you, but only to a point? They celebrate your wins, as long as your success doesn't surpass theirs. They encourage growth, but only in ways that keep you at their level. You share a new goal, and instead of pushing you forward, they remind you of past failures, of risks, of why it might not work. Not because they want to protect you, but because your growth forces them to confront their own stagnation. Epictetus put it simply, if you desire to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Not everyone will understand your path. Not everyone will celebrate it, and that's fine. What matters is whether you allow their fears to dictate your steps. Discernment isn't about labeling people as good or bad. It's about recognizing who influences you and how. The wrong influence can make you doubt what you once believed. The right influence can remind you of your own strength. The Stoics didn't waste time trying to change others. They focused on seeing people as they are and choosing wisely. Once you recognize the patterns, the next step is clear. Either limit their influence or reinforce your own mindset so strongly that nothing they say can shake it. Strength isn't about fighting every battle. It's about knowing which ones to walk away from. When it comes to protecting your peace, the real work isn't in changing others. It's in strengthening yourself so that no outside force can pull you off course. The Stoics didn't believe in isolation, but they did believe in boundaries. They understood that the mind, like a fortress, needs walls, not to keep the world out, but to control what gets in. The first step is awareness. If you don't know who or what is influencing you, you can't protect yourself from it. Pay attention to patterns. Notice how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you leave feeling lighter, clearer, more focused? Or do you feel anxious, uncertain, drained? Marcus Aurelius made it a habit to examine his thoughts daily. filtering out anything that didn't serve his higher purpose. That's the level of discipline required. You don't just let any ideas settle in your mind. You evaluate it. You decide if it's worth keeping. Next, set limits, not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Not every conversation needs your engagement. Not every opinion needs a response. Seneca put it simply, associate with those who will make a better man of you. That doesn't mean cutting people off at the first sign of negativity, but it does mean being intentional about where you place your energy. If someone constantly drains you, it's not selfish to take a step back. It's survival. Then strengthen your internal world. If your mind isn't anchored, every passing influence will sway you. Stoicism teaches that true power comes from self-mastery. That means developing habits that reinforce your clarity, reading, journaling, practicing stillness. Epictetus reminded his students that the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. The more you rely on external validation, the easier it is for others to manipulate you. But when you build a solid foundation within yourself, the opinions, doubts, and negativity of others lose their grip. And finally, choose your influences wisely. You can't always avoid negativity, but you can counterbalance it. Surround yourself with people who sharpen your mind, who challenge you to grow, who remind you of who you are when you forget. The company you keep either pulls you backward or pushes you forward. The choice is always yours. You don't rise alone. No one does. The people around you either lift you up, keep you stagnant, or slowly drag you down. And the hard truth is, most people never take the time to assess who's in their corner. They assume friendships, relationships, and social circles are just things that happen, when in reality, they shape everything: your mindset, your energy, your ambition. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that the quality of your life is directly tied to the quality of the company you keep. Seneca had a rule: surround yourself with those who elevate you, not those who weaken you. That doesn't mean looking for perfect people. It means looking for people who challenge you in the right way, who call you out when you're slipping, but never from a place of envy or control, who celebrate your wins, not with forced smiles but with genuine pride, who push you to be better, not by criticizing but by leading by example. You've probably felt the difference before. When you're around the right people, something shifts. Conversations feel lighter but also deeper. You leave feeling more like yourself, not less. There's no competition, no need to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. No undercurrent of jealousy disguised as concern. These relationships sharpen you. They remind you of what you're capable of. Epictetus said it best: the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. But here's where people get stuck. They're afraid to let go of relationships that no longer serve them. They hold on to friendships out of habit, out of history, out of guilt. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. If certain connections are keeping you from living fully, from growing, from becoming who you're meant to be, then holding on to them isn't loyalty, it's self-betrayal. The people in your life should add to it, not just exist in it. Building a strong circle isn't about cutting people off with anger or resentment. It's about choosing wisely. Seek out those who value wisdom, who live with discipline, who strive to be better. Pay attention to how people speak. Do they complain more than they create? Do they inspire action? Or do they reinforce fear? You don't need a crowd. You just need the right few. And once you find them, you'll realize just how much of your energy was being spent in the wrong places. Most people drift through life without ever questioning who and what is shaping them. They wonder why they feel drained, why their confidence wavers, why their vision for the future seems to shrink over time. But the truth is, everything you allow into your life, every conversation, every relationship, every belief you adopt without thinking, is either sharpening you or dulling you. And if you don't take control of that process, someone else will. The Stoics weren't concerned with controlling the world. They were concerned with controlling themselves, their thoughts, their responses, their inner world. That's where true freedom lies. You can't stop people from being negative. You can't force others to see your potential, but you can choose what influences you. You can choose who gets access to your energy, your time, your mind, and that choice is everything. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is too short to be wasted on things that don't serve the soul. If someone's presence leaves you feeling small, if their words chip away at your peace, if their energy distracts rather than strengthens you, owe it to yourself to step back. This isn't about resentment, it's about wisdom. You are responsible for protecting your own mind. No one else will do it for you. And here's the best part. Once you start making better choices, once you start aligning yourself with people who bring out the best in you, once you learn to guard your thoughts like a fortress, everything changes. Your confidence, your focus, your ability to move through life with clarity and purpose, it all gets sharper. You stop being easily swayed by opinions. You stop seeking validation from those who don't understand your path. And most importantly, you step into the kind of person you were always meant to be. The question is, what are you going to do now? Are you going to let the wrong influences keep shaping you? Or are you going to start choosing your circle, your thoughts, your direction with intention? The choice is yours if you found value in this. There's another video on the screen that takes these ideas even deeper. I'll see you there, and as always, thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal. Have you ever experienced the uncomfortable feeling of being treated just as a stepping stone or a ladder by someone? Fake relationships can be challenging to identify, especially when we want to believe in the goodness of others. However, there are hidden signs and revealing words left by those who see us merely as means to achieve their own ends. In this video, we will explore the depths of these toxic actions, highlighting 7 critical attitudes that scream that this person is not concerned about you and is just using you. It's time to unmask the false friends in your life. Stay with us and find out how. And don't forget, if you want to cultivate a healthy environment and protect your energy, subscribe to our channel and learn how to identify and distance yourself from these toxic influences. Navigating the often turbulent waters of human nature is an art that requires intuition and experience. In our journey, we encounter a variety of personalities. Some enrich our lives, while others only harm us. Identifying someone who is just using us can be painful and often not as obvious as we would like. However, recognizing these attitudes is the first step towards reaffirming our worth and establishing healthy boundaries. In our journey to discern true intentions and relationships, an essential understanding stands out. You deserve relationships that are reciprocal and respectful. If you identified with this content and found value in the information shared, I invite you to subscribe for more insights like this. Together, we will continue to navigate the complexities of human interactions, unraveling and better understanding the patterns of behavior and emotions that surround us. Your support is crucial in this journey of discovery and continuous learning. Remember, the key to healthier and more enriching relationships lies in recognizing, acting, and above all, respecting yourself and others. The second signal, selective availability, exploited in the complex nuances of human relationships. A second warning sign stands out: selective availability. This situation becomes evident when someone is readily accessible when they need something from us, but strangely unreachable when the roles are reversed. Picture this scenario. You often find yourself in the role of a benefactor, responding to various requests, whether it be providing a shoulder to lean on for emotional support, doing favors, or dedicating your time and attention. However, when you find yourself in a vulnerable position, seeking support or assistance, the response from this person is a deafening silence, messages ignored, calls unanswered, or at best, a subtle change of subject. These are the responses you get. This pattern of behavior creates a scenario where the balance of giving and receiving is skewed. You find yourself on a one-way street, where your efforts and care seem to flow in a direction with no return. This dynamic not only reveals a lack of consideration, but also a deliberate disregard for your needs and feelings. Selective availability is, therefore, a mirror reflecting an uncomfortable reality. The person in question is present only when it suits them. This one-sided dynamic is a breeding ground for feelings of disappointment and resentment. The relationship becomes an imbalanced scale, where the needs of one party are continually overlooked. Recognizing and confronting this reality is a vital step. It's important to ask, are we truly in a mutually enriching relationship? Or are we just a convenient source to satisfy someone else's needs? Self-respect and self-esteem come into play here, challenging us to reassess our boundaries and to consider whether reciprocity and respect are indeed shared values in this relationship. The third signal, the lack of detailed personal interest in the fabric of interpersonal relationships. A third warning sign is distinctly prominent: the lack of personal interest. True friends and sincere companions are characterized by an authentic interest in our lives, our emotions, and our experiences. They revel in our stories, share in our joys, and support us in our challenges. However, a stark contrast emerges when dealing with someone whose interest appears to be merely functional or opportunistic. This person rarely, if ever, asks about your day, your feelings, or your aspirations. Their involvement in conversations seems to have a singular focus: themselves. The discussions, when they occur, revolve around their own experiences and needs, or are limited to superficial topics, devoid of any emotional or personal depth. This dynamic reveals a disturbing disconnection. You begin to feel that your voice and your story only hold value when they somehow serve these unilateral interests. Your role in the relationship is reduced to an audience for their narratives or a resource for their conveniences. This absence of curiosity and empathy is a telltale sign that your value to this person is conditional on what you can offer, not on who you are. This realization can be painful, but it is crucial for self-assessment and the preservation of one's own dignity. Questioning becomes essential. Are we in a relationship of equitable and genuine exchange? Or are we seen as mere supporting characters in someone else's life spectacle? The lack of personal interest in a relationship is a red flag signaling the need to reevaluate our connections and seek environments where we are valued and respected in our entirety. If you've made it this far, you're one of the few who are truly seeking growth. Comment seeking wisdom along with today's date to make a commitment to yourself. Let's continue. The fourth signal, guilt and manipulation, dissected within the spectrum of human interactions. A fourth signal emerges as a grim warning, the use of guilt as a tool for manipulation. This form of manipulation can manifest in multiple ways, but its core is always the same: to persuade, or rather coerce, someone into acting in accordance with the manipulator's wishes. Consider this scenario. You frequently find yourself in situations where there is a subtle yet intense pressure to say yes to requests or demands. Or perhaps the other person skillfully plays with your emotions, using them like puppets to achieve their goals. Phrases like, "If you were really my friend, you would do this," or "I would do the same," for you are thrown into the emotional battleground as sharp weapons aimed at exploiting your kindness and empathy. These manipulation tactics are insidious and often disguised under the guise of normality or obligation. They are designed to make you doubt your own perceptions and feelings, leading you to question whether it's your responsibility to give in. This is dangerous territory, where your emotional integrity and self-esteem can be gradually eroded. On the other hand, it is essential to recognize that healthy relationships flourish in the fertile ground of trust, mutual respect, and the freedom to express and attend to individual needs without fear or pressure. If you find yourself frequently entangled in the clutches of these manipulative strategies, an urgent need for reassessment arises. It's a moment to question the sustainability of the relationship and the possibility of establishing healthier boundaries. Confronting and acknowledging manipulation is a brave step towards preserving your emotional health and well-being. It's an act of self-assertion where you claim your right not to be manipulated or guilt-tripped into choosing what is best for you. The fifth signal, the persistent lack of respect. In the mosaic of interpersonal relations, a fifth signal of dysfunction emerges clearly: persistent lack of respect. Respect, an essential two-way street in any meaningful relationship, must be a constant. A true friend or a loyal companion honors this principle with actions that reflect mutual consideration and esteem. However, a person who habitually exploits you tends to disregard these boundaries. Imagine yourself frequently facing situations where your plans are cancelled at the last minute, or the other person is late, or worse, doesn't show up at all. It seems there's always an expectation that you should mold yourself to their conveniences and whims. This pattern of neglecting your needs and time is a glaring indicator that the relationship is undervalued by this person. These attitudes, when viewed collectively, weave a pattern of behavior that screams selfishness and lack of consideration. However, it's vital to recognize that fallibility is a human trait. We all at some point may act selfishly. What differentiates a person who is using you is the persistence of these actions over time, combined with a lack of acknowledgement or effort to change. As we progress on this journey of unraveling the subtleties of human relations, it's essential to remember that self-awareness and assertiveness are powerful tools. They protect us from being exploited. Being aware of these signs and understanding how to respond to them is vital. Recognizing the presence of a harmful relationship is a crucial step in reconsidering these ties and taking steps to safeguard your emotional and mental well-being. As we continue to explore the complexities of human relationships, realizing that we are equipped to identify and react to exploitative situations is an important step. Knowledge and understanding of these signs enable us to maintain healthier and more respectful relationships. If you're enjoying this, don't miss out on the opportunity to purchase the ebook now. Stoicism in the 21st Century, Ancient Strategies for Modern Challenges, and unlock your prosperity, abundance, and improve your relationships with this ebook. Link in the pinned comment. The sixth signal, superficial bonding and its implications. In the complex tapestry of human relationships, a sixth telling sign emerges. Superficial bonding. This sign is particularly insidious because it masks the true nature of the relationship. A person who is using you tends to avoid forming a deep and meaningful connection. This behavior is manifested through an interaction that rarely goes beyond the surface. In this type of relationship, you might start to notice a pattern. Conversations usually revolve around trivial topics, shying away from diving into deeper or more personal subjects. These people keep their vulnerabilities well guarded and their emotions tightly controlled. This invisible barrier prevents the relationship from developing into a more intimate level of trust and camaraderie. The relationship seems to be stuck in a perpetual initial state, where even after a considerable amount of time, you realize that you don't truly know this person beyond a superficial facade. This is a clear sign that, for the other party, the relationship is not a priority nor a pathway to a genuine sharing of experiences and emotions. Recognizing this superficial dynamic is essential for your emotional health. It's an invitation to reflect on the value and depth of your relationships. This sign challenges us to question, are we investing our time and energy in fertile soil capable of nurturing mutual growth? Or are we clinging to a shadow of connection that never materializes into something more substantial? The realization of a superficial bond serves as a guide to make informed decisions, allowing us to protect our peace of mind and seek relationships that offer true reciprocity and depth. The seventh signal, absence in crucial moments. In the journey of discerning human relationships, the seventh sign stands out with a somber clarity, absence in critical moments. The essence of a healthy relationship is often revealed not on sunny days, but in life storms. It is during periods of adversity, illness, personal loss, or phases of intense stress that the true character of a relationship is put to the test. Imagine facing one of these challenging moments, expecting to find support and understanding from someone you consider a friend or partner. However, instead of support, you are met with a void. The person is noticeably absent, perhaps offering superficial consolation or generic words that sound more like a formality than a genuine gesture of empathy. This pattern of behavior, where emotional and physical support is notably scarce or non-existent in times of need, is an alarming indicator. It reveals that the relationship may be heavily one-sided, with one person investing emotionally while the other evades during times of reciprocation. Absence in crucial moments is a mirror reflecting the true nature of the relationship. It's not just about not being physically present, it's the lack of empathy, emotional unavailability, and indifference that speaks volumes. This lack of support not only wears down the emotional fabric of the relationship, but also raises questions about its intrinsic value and the sincerity of the connection. Recognizing this reality can be painful. but it is essential for protecting one's dignity and emotional well-being. Confronting this truth propels us to reassess the relationship and to ponder the importance of establishing more equitable relationships, where support and presence are reciprocal. Realizing the presence of concerning signs in a relationship is a vital initial step, but what truly defines the nature and future of these interactions is how we act upon these findings in crucial moments, especially those that require support and solidarity. The absence of someone who should be by our side can reveal an uncomfortable truth about the relationship. In these difficult times, the true depth and sincerity of a bond are put to the test. The lack of emotional commitment and solidarity from someone who is using us is a clear indicator of these shortcomings. To cultivate healthier and more balanced relationships, it is essential to establish clear boundaries. Saying no is a fundamental aspect of any healthy relationship. When feeling uncomfortable or pressured, communicating your own boundaries clearly and directly is crucial. Defining and firmly maintaining what is acceptable to you is a practice of self-respect and preserving your emotional health. In situations where you feel used, open and honest communication is key. Addressing the matter calmly, clearly, and directly, expressing your feelings without accusations, can clarify misunderstandings and even give the other person a chance to review and change their behavior. Seeking support in dealing with the emotional complexity of being in an unbalanced relationship is another important step. Talking to trusted friends, family members, or a professional can provide a much-needed outside perspective, as well as support and guidance. Remember, every individual deserves respect and reciprocity in their relationships. Identifying and confronting situations where your interests are not considered is essential for strengthening your emotional well-being. Learning how to handle the challenges empowers us to build and maintain healthier, more rewarding relationships founded on mutual respect, empathy, and effective communication. By recognizing the signs of unbalanced relationships and taking proactive steps, you take a crucial step in protecting yourself and cultivating healthier and more fulfilling interactions. It's important to remember that your value is not defined by how others treat you. Rather, it is intrinsic and reaffirmed by how you stand in situations where there is a lack of respect or consideration. In our journey to discern true intentions and relationships, an essential understanding stands out. You deserve relationships that are reciprocal and respectful. If you identified with this content and found value in the information shared, I invite you to subscribe for more insights like this. Together, we will continue to navigate the complexities of human interactions, unraveling and better understanding the patterns of behavior and emotions that surround us. Your support is crucial in this journey of discovery and continuous learning. Remember, the key to healthier and more enriching relationships lies in recognizing, acting, and above all, respecting yourself and others. Have you ever sat in absolute silence? No phone, no distractions, no one to validate your existence, just you and your own thoughts. Does that idea unsettle you? We live in a world where silence is drowned out by notifications, where self-worth is measured by external approval. We chase recognition, bend under societal expectations, and fear the emptiness of solitude. But is a life dictated by others truly your own? The Stoics believed that true freedom comes not from wealth, status, or relationships, but from within. To live without fear of being alone is to master the art of self-sufficiency. It means understanding that you are already whole, that your peace does not depend on anyone else. Paradoxically, those who learn to stand alone also form the deepest connections, not out of need, but out of choice. They walk their own path, unshaken by judgment, free from the chains of dependence. So ask yourself, do you live for yourself? Or are you just a reflection of others' expectations? In this video, we'll explore how embracing solitude can lead to true strength, independence, and fulfillment. Stay with me because this might just change the way you see your life. 1. Self-control, the key to freedom. Most of us will never find ourselves behind bars, yet many live as prisoners, trapped not by walls, but by their own lack of self-control. When you cannot govern yourself, you become a puppet of emotions, circumstances, and the expectations of others. True freedom is not about escaping responsibility or severing all ties. It is about mastering yourself so that nothing external can dictate your inner state. Self-control is not merely the ability to suppress anger or resist temptation. It is the art of ruling your own mind. It means choosing your response instead of reacting impulsively, standing firm in your values despite pressure, and refusing to let praise or criticism define you. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If your happiness rises and falls with others' opinions, if your identity shifts based on societal approval, then you are not living for yourself. You are living as a reflection of others. Living for yourself is not selfishness. It is clarity. It is knowing who you are, what you want, and walking that path with unwavering resolve. But when you rely too much on validation, you hand over control of your life. You become a prisoner to expectations, allowing fear of rejection to shape your decisions. A truly free person is one who knows when to say no, who protects their time, energy, and focus for what truly matters. Consider Vincent van Gogh, one of history's greatest painters. In his lifetime, he sold only a single painting. He was dismissed by society, rejected by family, and lived in near isolation. Yet he did not paint for approval. He painted because it was his truth. Despite suffering, poverty, and ridicule, he never abandoned his art. He did not conform to trends, but forged his own style, creating masterpieces like Starry Night and Sunflowers. Had he allowed the world's judgment to break him, we might never have known his genius. Van Gogh's life is proof that when you master yourself, you create without the need for permission. Self-control is not about rejecting others. It is about not needing them to define your worth. It is the foundation of inner peace, resilience, and true freedom. We cannot control the world, but we can always control our response. When someone criticizes you, you can react with anger or remain unfazed. Knowing their words do not shape your reality. When faced with adversity, you can dwell in frustration or take action to change what you can. Every moment you have the power to choose. If you do not master yourself, others will. If you do not decide how to live, the world will decide for you. But remember, no one can truly control you unless you allow them to. And when you learn to govern yourself, you gain something no one can take away: absolute freedom. 2. Stop looking for external validation. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval. A simple drawing earns us a proud smile from our parents. A high test score brings praise from teachers. Accomplishments are met with applause. And that recognition fuels us to keep striving. This is natural. Humans thrive on connection. But what happens when we become dependent on it, if no one praises you? Would you still feel worthy if there is no applause? Would you still believe in yourself? External validation is like fast food, quick, satisfying, but ultimately empty. It cannot sustain you. The moment the applause stops, you may feel lost, as if drifting without direction. A life dictated by the approval of others is not a life of freedom, but of servitude. Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment comes from within. Epictetus once said, "If you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your own integrity. If you need a witness, be your own. Your worth is not something others grant you. It is something you realize within yourself." Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes in history, was once cut from his high school basketball team. He could have let that rejection define him. But he didn't. He kept training, kept pushing, proving that he didn't need validation to know his own worth. And neither do you. When you rely on others to feel good about yourself, you become vulnerable, lifted by praise, shattered by criticism. But when you can stand strong without anyone's approval, you become untouchable. This is not arrogance. It is self-mastery. The greatest recognition you will ever need is your own. Ask yourself, are you living in alignment with your values? Do you do what is right even when no one is watching? Do you respect yourself even in silence? When you stop seeking validation, a new kind of freedom emerges. You will no longer fear judgment. You will no longer feel empty in solitude because you will understand your worth has never been in the hands of others. It has always been yours. 3. Learn how to be alone. There is a truth few dare to accept. You do not need anyone else to feel complete. This is not a call to reject relationships, but a reminder that your worth is not defined by the presence or absence of others. Society often equates solitude with loneliness, making us believe that if we are not constantly surrounded by people, we are somehow lacking. But the truth is quite the opposite. Learning to be alone is one of the greatest strengths you can cultivate. To be alone is not to suffer isolation, but to embrace the rare opportunity to listen to yourself, to face your own thoughts without distraction, and to find contentment from within. Most people spend their lives running from silence, seeking external noise to drown out their own uncertainties. But those who master solitude master themselves. They no longer rely on validation, nor are they swayed by fleeting opinions. History's greatest minds understood this. Isaac Newton formulated the law of universal gravitation while in isolation during a plague. Albert Einstein spent hours lost in thought, contemplating the universe without interruption. Their brilliance was not shaped by the constant presence of others, but by the stillness that allowed them to think deeply without distraction. Imagine if Newton had spent his days chasing small talk instead of embracing solitude. Would he have ever noticed the falling apple? Now ask yourself, when you are alone, do you feel restless? Do you instinctively reach for your phone, searching for someone to talk to? Or can you sit in that space, unshaken, and look deeper within? When you stop fearing solitude, you begin to truly live. Loneliness is not a punishment. It is an invitation to grow, to learn, and to strengthen yourself in ways that constant company never allows. To be alone is also to be free. When you no longer depend on others for validation, you regain control over your own life. You stop chasing relationships just to fill an empty void. Ironically, the more self-sufficient you become, the more others are drawn to you. Confidence and independence are magnetic. But the greatest gift of solitude is this: even if no one stands beside you, you remain whole. So if you ever find yourself feeling lost because no one is around, remember, it is not emptiness, but an opportunity. Use that time to build a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. Because when you can stand firm on your own, nothing can bring you down. What are your thoughts on solitude? Have you ever experienced a time when being alone helped you grow? Share your insights in the comments below. 4. Build your own values instead of following social standards. Success is not a universal formula. It is not something society can define for you. If you believe that success is measured by wealth, fame, or social approval, then you have unknowingly allowed the world to dictate your path. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, is success truly about achieving what others admire? Or is it about living a life that is meaningful to you? From a young age, we are taught to follow a predefined path, secure a stable job, earn a high salary, and gain the admiration of others. But have you ever stopped to question whether these things genuinely align with who you are? Or are they merely expectations imposed upon you? Take Vera Wang as an example. She started as a figure skater, dreaming of Olympic success. When that dream ended, she turned to journalism, becoming a fashion editor. But at 40, she discovered her true passion, designing wedding dresses. Society might have told her it was too late to start over, yet she ignored those limitations and built one of the most prestigious bridal fashion brands in the world. Her story proves one thing: success has no deadline, as long as you dare to live by your own values. If you spend your life chasing external expectations, you will become a version of yourself molded by society, not the person you were meant to be. But the real tragedy is not the judgment of others. It is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never truly lived. That is why you must build your own values. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What brings me fulfillment and freedom? These are not easy questions, but once you answer them, external standards will no longer have power over you. Here's a hard truth: when you start living according to your values, not everyone will support you. You will face criticism, misunderstandings, and even isolation. But remember, true strength comes from within, not from the approval of the crowd. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Building your own values means taking control of your thoughts, instead of letting the world dictate them. It does not mean resisting everything society offers, but rather learning to be selective, choosing what helps you grow and letting go of what holds you back. And that is exactly what we will explore next: how to eliminate the things that hinder your growth. If this message resonates with you, stay with me until the end, because the path to true freedom begins here. And if you found value in this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. 5. Eliminate things that inhibit your own development. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is truly holding me back? Maybe it's a job you despise but feel trapped in, a relationship drained of trust, yet you still cling to it, or a silent fear that keeps you from stepping outside your comfort zone. We often believe that growth comes from adding more skills, opportunities, connections, but in reality, true growth often comes from elimination. Life is like a garden. It's not enough to water what thrives. We must also cut away what withers. Yet the hardest things to let go of are often the most familiar: stability, long-standing habits, even suffering we've learned to endure. We don't hold on because they serve us. We hold on because we fear the emptiness that may follow if we release them. But ask yourself, do you want comfort, or do you want growth? Henry Ford's story is a testament to this truth. His first 2 automobile companies failed, leaving him humiliated and broke. Many would have seen this as a sign to quit. But instead of clinging to outdated methods, Ford eliminated what wasn't working and embraced a new vision: affordable cars for the masses. That shift in mindset led to the creation of the Ford Model T, revolutionizing the automobile industry. His success didn't come from what he added, it came from what he let go of. So how do you know what to eliminate? Ask yourself one simple question: is this still helping me grow? If a relationship drains you more than it nurtures you, is it worth keeping? If a job crushes your spirit rather than inspiring you, is it worth dedicating your life to? If fear is keeping you paralyzed, is it worth carrying with you forever? The greatest tragedy is not losing what we have. It's looking back years from now and realizing we never truly lived because we were too afraid to change. Growth never comes from absolute safety. It comes from those moments when we dare to let go, to move forward even when we cannot see the road ahead. So take a moment and reflect. Is there something in your life holding you back? If so, have the courage to release it, because only when you remove what no longer serves you can you create space for something greater. 6. Overcome the fear of being judged. Most people live in quiet captivity, haunted by a single question: what do others think of me? But here is a truth you must embrace, no matter what you do. People will always have opinions. Dress differently, you're eccentric. Follow your passion, you're unrealistic. Conform to expectations, you're just ordinary. The truth is, you can never please everyone, and the more you try, the further you stray from yourself. The fear of judgment is not just a fleeting emotion, it is a chain that binds you. It makes you hesitate, forces you into compromises, and worst of all, prevents you from being who you truly are. Imagine having a dream that sets your soul on fire, but instead of pursuing it, you let the fear of ridicule hold you back. You want to change your path but hesitate, worrying about whispers behind your back. If you let this fear dictate your life, you will wake up one day drowning in regret. But when you dare to step beyond this fear, you unlock something extraordinary: freedom. You will no longer be shackled by others' opinions because you will understand a profound truth. Their judgments do not define your worth. You will live as you choose, pursue what you love, and walk your own path without looking over your shoulder. History does not remember those who stayed silent out of fear. It remembers those who had the courage to stand apart. Vincent van Gogh was mocked, dismissed, and died in poverty, unrecognized for his genius. Had he painted for approval, he might have abandoned his art, but he didn't. He painted because it was his truth today. His works are priceless. While those who ridiculed him are long forgotten, his story is proof that opinions are temporary, but what you create, what you believe in, can last forever if you let the fear of judgment control you. You will always live within the boundaries others set. But if you dare to break free, you will finally experience what it means to truly live. So ask yourself, will you spend your life conforming, or will you have the courage to be yourself? That is the real question. And in the next part, well, take it even further. 7th, dare to truly live and choose according to your heart. Life moves forward relentlessly. Seconds turn into minutes, minutes into hours, hours into days. Time does not wait, no matter how much we wish it would. The real question is, am I truly living, or is life simply passing me by? Look at today. What have you done differently from yesterday? We wake up, go to work, come home, sleep and repeat. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months. Will tomorrow be any different? Or will it be another day lived on autopilot? If you do not take control of your life, society will dictate it for you. Now is the time to choose how you truly want to live. But being true to yourself is not easy. From childhood, we are taught to fit in, to behave in ways that gain approval, to follow paths chosen for us. Study this subject, get that job, live as expected, but at some point, we must stop and ask, is this my life, or am I simply fulfilling the expectations of others? To be true to yourself does not mean rebellion, it means listening to your own voice, understanding your values, and having the courage to follow them. When you dare to walk your own path, you do not just free yourself from invisible chains. You open the door to the right people and opportunities. Take Lady Gaga, for example. She was not an overnight success. When she first entered the music industry, she was rejected, ridiculed, and told she was too different to make it. Record labels claimed she did not fit the mold of a pop star. But instead of conforming, she doubled down on who she was. She wore bold outfits, experimented with music, and performed with fearless passion. She was not afraid of being misunderstood because she knew only authenticity could make her truly shine. And she was right. Not only did she achieve global success, but she built a devoted community, not because she tried to please everyone, but because she had the courage to be herself. One of the biggest mistakes we make is trying to be liked by everyone. But here is the truth. No matter how hard you try, there will always be people who misunderstand, criticize, or dislike you. And that is not your burden to carry. The right people will stay, the wrong ones will leave. And that is perfectly okay. You were not born to be a copy of someone else. You were not meant to live by the standards of others. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control people's opinions, we can control how we live. So ask yourself, if you weren't afraid of being judged, what would you do if you weren't afraid of failure? What path would you take? That is your answer. That is the life you are meant to live. You have only one life. Will you let it pass by without truly living, or will you dare to be yourself? The choice is yours. 8. Learn how to forgive and move forward. Some wounds are invisible to the eye, yet they linger deep within us. Anger, resentment, and past hurts weigh us down, chaining us to moments that can never be changed. But is it worth it? Is it worth carrying this burden into the future, allowing it to darken new opportunities? Forgiveness is not a gift we give to others. It is a liberation we grant ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This is not just ethical wisdom, but a profound truth about inner freedom. When we allow hatred to consume us, We are unknowingly handing power over our emotions and actions to those who hurt us. But when we let go, we claim our control. Imagine holding a burning coal, intending to throw it at your enemy. Who gets burned first? You do. Hatred works the same way. It consumes our peace, clarity, and even the simple joys of life. Just a single bitter thought can imprison us in suffering. But forgiveness is the key that unlocks that prison. To forgive does not mean to forget, nor does it mean allowing others to continue harming us. It is not a sign of weakness, but of immense strength. It is the conscious choice to let go of resentment so that we can move forward, rather than letting the past dictate our future. History is filled with those who chose forgiveness over vengeance, and in doing so, transformed the world. Mahatma Gandhi was imprisoned, beaten, and watched his people suffer under oppression. Yet he did not choose violence or revenge. He led a movement of non-violent resistance, enduring years of struggle until India gained independence. Had he let hatred cloud his judgment, history may have unfolded very differently. His story is proof that forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is about choosing a wiser response. There will always be people who hurt us. That is beyond our control. But what is within our control is how we respond. Stoic philosophy teaches us that peace is found within, not through seeking revenge or external justice. Forgiveness is not about excusing others. It is about freeing ourselves. When we let go of hatred, we lose nothing. In fact, we gain everything: our peace, our clarity, and our freedom. If you are still holding on to resentment today, ask yourself, is this worth sacrificing my peace? Could this energy be used to build a better life? Instead of drowning in old emotions, forgiveness is not easy. But once you embrace it, you will realize that it is not just an act of kindness. It is a priceless gift you give to yourself. So, after everything we've explored, what do you think is true freedom found in living for yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments with I Choose Me. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future insights that challenge the way you see life. And if someone you know needs to hear this, share it with them. Your journey to self-mastery has only just begun. In the next video, we'll uncover even deeper truths about living with strength, purpose, and independence. See you there. Get ready for an amazing adventure. In this video, we're going to show you 11 important things you need to quietly cut out of your life. We invite you to actively join us on this journey. Share your thoughts on each topic we cover and stick around till the end of the video. A journey of learning and growth awaits you. The next few moments are your chance to deeply reflect and better understand who you are. We believe the lessons we're going to share will enlighten and change your life. Let's get started. First point: when dealing with people who hurt you, there's no need to explain yourself to those who cause you pain. There's no need to complain, argue, or have a confrontation over someone's bad attitude. If someone has made decisions that disrespected and hurt you, even if they were someone you thought was a perfect friend, it's better to move on without seeking justifications. Stay calm and rational, focusing on your own growth. There may come a time when that person will need you and seek your support. In that moment, simply saying no is enough. And if you need to explain your reasons, do so. If this person failed to show character and broke your trust, you're not obligated to help them. So, There's no need to get into conflicts or fights. The best course is to quietly remove that person from your life, as time will show the consequences of their actions. Focus on taking care of yourself and let the future reveal what's best for both of you. When we allow ourselves to move forward without the need to explain or justify our choices, we are showing deep respect for ourselves and our boundaries. It's important to remember that we're not obligated to associate with people who harm us or fail to value us. Each of us deserves to be treated with respect and appreciated for who we truly are. Thus, by choosing to quietly remove those who hurt us from our lives, we're making a brave decision for our emotional well-being and personal growth, allowing us to move towards a more authentic and fulfilling life. Second point, unnecessary goals. There will be times when you realize the importance of making choices, acting in a certain way, or staying true to your own path. Sometimes you'll need to abandon certain goals to prioritize the path that aligns best with your essence. It's completely normal for this to happen, as we don't always achieve everything we plan. And at times, it's necessary to give up some things in favor of others. However, it's important to silently eliminate these unnecessary goals without broadcasting your moves to the whole world. Don't leave clues or loose information, as this could reveal your main strategy. Be smarter in this process, quietly removing less important goals and making gradual changes in your life. As the cards are laid out on the table, always proceed with discretion, protecting your plans and allowing your decisions to be guided by authenticity, seeking the path most aligned with who you are. Third point, relationships. Be it friendship or romance, it's crucial not to share intimate details or vent to others about the reasons behind the end of a friendship or relationship. The intimacy shared belongs only to you and the other person involved, and others don't need to know the reasons. Nobody has the right to know about fights or terrible situations, as this can only lead to gossip and make the situation more complicated. If you feel the need to talk, have a conversation with yourself and reflect on what happened. The urge to share might indicate that there are still unhealed wounds there. Therefore, regardless of the situation, the appropriate action is to analyze these behaviors quietly without sharing with others. If you have a problematic relationship in your life, it's important to remove it without broadcasting the news to other people. Keeping these matters private and dealing with the issues internally will aid in the acceptance and healing process. Preserve the privacy and dignity of all parties involved, and take care of your emotional well-being with wisdom and discretion. Fourth point, during periods of tension, avoid raising your voice in front of others and control your display of excessive frustration or anger. If you're upset, redirect that feeling towards actions that yield beneficial results. Use that energy as a driving force to advance your life goals and train your body to handle stress. Contain your emotions, reflect on them, and redirect the accumulated energy into something that strengthens you. However, proceed with caution and discretion, as losing control can expose vulnerabilities during tense moments. Aim to dissipate this tension discreetly by resolving issues, fulfilling responsibilities, and using reasoning as your ally. Avoid broadcasting your difficulties. Instead, value what and who is already in your life, cultivating gratitude. Find a way to relieve emotional pressure quietly, seeking internal balance and healthier approaches to facing challenges. If you've made it this far, I ask that you leave a comment to show that you're truly seeking change. Go ahead. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Let's continue. 5th point. Avoid sharing your judgments with others about so-and-so. In fact, you shouldn't even harbor such opinions in your consciousness. Seriously consider what image you are projecting when you speak ill of someone. You could have an interesting dialogue or enrich the conversation, but instead choose to spoil the atmosphere just to vent your negativity about that person. Please don't do that. Don't go around declaring who you like or dislike. Learn to be diplomatic. If you don't like someone, it's possible to distance yourself from them or try to maintain a tolerable coexistence. And always act intelligently. If there's a problem with that person, you try to talk, dialogue, and seek a consensus. However, these opinions and judgments you have about others should be immediately discarded. As mentioned before, no matter if you like or dislike someone, always act diplomatically, showing yourself capable of adapting to the environment, changing and interacting regardless of differences with other people. Maintain a respectful and empathetic posture in your interactions, and this will contribute to a more harmonious environment and healthier relationships with others. 6th point. Avoid constantly comparing yourself to others. Each person has their own path, achievements, and successes that should be valued without reference to others. The harmful habit of comparing our lives to others can negatively impact our emotional well-being and hinder our personal growth. Moreover, it lowers our self-esteem as we risk falling into the trap of unfavorable comparison, focusing on what we think we lack instead of recognizing our own strengths and accomplishments. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, we lose sight of our own goals and desires. We get distracted from what truly matters and focus on what we think we should have or achieve based on others' standards. This prevents us from moving forward on our own journey and achieving our individual goals. By eliminating comparison, we can cultivate gratitude for our own circumstances and celebrate our own progress and growth. Remember that each person has their own unique way and individual circumstances, and comparing yourself to others is neither fair nor healthy. Each of us has different strengths, challenges, and life paths. Instead of comparing ourselves to others, it is more productive to focus on our own learning and personal development. 7th point. Conscious use of social media. Imagine for a moment that your life is a book filled with fascinating stories, learnings, and adventures. Now think of social media as a library where millions of other stories are shared every second. Exciting, right? But here lies a subtle danger: constant comparison. As we flip through the glossy pages of these digital stories, we often find ourselves comparing our most challenging chapters with the highlight moments of others. This comparison, often unfair and unrealistic, can lead us into a cycle of dissatisfaction and envy. See how this can be harmful. With this in mind, it's essential to learn to limit our consumption of these digital stories. Imagine deciding to visit this digital library with a clear purpose. You enter, look for exactly what you need, whether it's connection, inspiration, or information, and then leave, returning to the reality of your own book, the book of your life. But how do you do this in practice? Start by defining specific times of the day to check your social media, instead of getting lost in it at every moment. Be it during breakfast, a break at work, or at the end of the day. This helps create a structure that prevents social media from dominating your time and thoughts. Another effective strategy is to question the intention behind each online interaction. Ask yourself, am I seeking something constructive here, or just killing time? This reflection can help differentiate productive use from aimless, passive consumption. Moreover, it's crucial to recognize the signs that social media is negatively impacting your mood or self-esteem. If you find yourself feeling down after using these platforms, it might be time to take a break. Use this time to reconnect with activities that bring joy and satisfaction in the real world, like reading a book, engaging in a hobby, or simply enjoying nature. By adopting these practices, you not only protect your mental health, but also rediscover the beauty of your own story without the constant need for comparison with others' stories. Remember, each of us has a unique path to walk, filled with highs and lows, triumphs and challenges, and that's exactly what makes each story, including yours, so valuable and unique. And so, as we bid farewell to this topic, I invite you to reflect on how you can start writing the next chapter of your story today, with less influence from the digital world and more focus on what truly matters in your life. Let's embark on this journey of self-discovery and growth together. Take charge of your life with the wisdom of history's greatest philosophers,